Department of Commerce, they've got a section there that just outlines all the sort of CEO tenure paperwork.
Yeah, is it the business rules or the business guidelines? Which ones?
Give me one sec.
Oh, Alexi.
We've just got to outline exactly.
Hold on, William. Someone's just flown in behind you.
He's this
He's
CFO.
alright.
He's fine.
He's alright.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's all good. Hi, Alexi.
Hey, nice cocks.
These are my lawyers.
They're all your lawyers.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer. The one in green's a lawyer. The one in the navy is the Honourable Judge Holt, and the one in the black suit is a paralegal.
In this
Wow.
instance, I'm acting as I also carry a practicing certificate, so obviously wouldn't be presiding over a case which I'm lending my advice and representation to. But yes, I also do hold a commission as a judge. All right, so let's just get down to business. So if we all want to just take a seat and get comfortable, I find that's always the best way to sort of get things going. Not quite sure if.
Might need to speak up a bit, I think, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. My apologies. Sorry, but
I think those doors are soundproof anyways.
They're pretty soundproof, yeah.
excellent. So look, it'll probably help if I just explain what the legal strategy is here. So and that way you guys will know what documents might be relevant to that. So the biggest hurdle in this case, from what, as I understand, is Section 1 of the Corporations Labour and Contracts Act. So that act, as you may or may not know, states in Section 1 that the DOC has ownership over all properties run by businesses, Benny's, PDM, all the businesses,
Yeah.
Now, to most people, ownership when they hear the word ownership, that just equates to everything that ownership typically entails. The right to enter, the right to exclude, the right to sell, etc. But as we probably all know, ownership doesn't always necessarily equate to necessarily having those rights vested in you. So, for example, when there's a rental relationship, the owner doesn't have the right just to enter the property and make decisions about who comes and goes. The owner retains residual ownership, but the tenant has all the possessive rights in relation to the property. So obviously the tenant can't sell the property, but the tenant is vested with a right to decide who comes, who goes, and all the usual things that come with living at a house and or owning a property. So when there's for example, as you guys may or may not know, when there are often big shopping malls, obviously the shop fronts don't own their slot inside the shopping centre, but they reserve the right to decide who does and who doesn't come into their shop. And it's the same thing here. And so essentially the legal angle we're looking at going at is essentially arguing that the Department of Commerce has ownership akin to the way I've sort of just described. Ownership only in sort of a residual sense. Ownership in terms of being able to select who runs the businesses. Ownership in terms of deciding which people to put into certain business role, but lacking the sort of possessive rights that ordinarily you would have. And so that's essentially the crux of the argument we're going to be advancing. And if we're able to advance that argument and able to advance an argument, the legal relationship is one where ownership is one which doesn't entail the right to exclude or right to decide who comes and goes, then we'll be able to argue that the DOC's blanket approval to SADC is irrelevant and amounts to nothing. And if we would argue that, then therefore we'd be able to argue that in asking SADC not to come or in asking SADC not to be on the premises, that would amount to trespassing because they had no lawful reason or right to be in the property.
Okay.
So essentially, that's the approach, and the reason why I've asked for documents is whether I suppose what I wanted to work out is whether or not you've signed any agreement, or have a, you've had any correspondence where you've agreed with the DOC that the DOC reserves the right to retain control over entry and the right to exclude in relation to this premises. Because if they haven't, it makes it much easier to argue that they don't have that.
The only thing that I've been sent is I sent a state government of San Andreas, Department of Commerce letterhead that basically just says you've been offered the position of CEO with PDM for 6 months tenure effective as of 1st of July 21 till 31st of December 21.
Yep.
It just says that it will be your duty to understand and familiarize yourself with C-suite standard business procedures and business guidelines rules attached below to ensure that you are meeting the standards of your role. There's nothing that I signed. They just sent me those documents and told me that I need to be aware of them. I've forwarded them on to Emerson now.
Is there any formal contract between Premium Deluxe Motorsports and the Department of Commerce, that sets out a legal relationship in specific terms beyond obviously the act itself that, of course, would override any contractual relationship? But is there any agreement that says, the Department of Commerce is this and the PDM is this, and PDM is a tenant, or PDM is an agent, or something like that? Is there anything like that, or is there not an agreement like that?
No, there's no sort of agreement. The only thing would be just those business ownership guidelines and the C-suite standard procedures and the corporation's law, whatever it is.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, mate. Well, in that case, we have, I think, a decent legal leg to stand on. Now, it's going to be a tough road, I think, and it's not an argument which I think the other side would probably anticipate, and it's not an argument that necessarily is one which I think is an obvious one that is obviously going to lead to a win here, but I do believe it has a plausible chance of sticking and convincing a judge that the DOC's memo, to put it in layman's terms, doesn't mean jack shit, and the only authority when it comes to who enters and who leaves this premises are the people who functionally operate it, which would be you guys. Just on a personal note, I think it's frankly ridiculous that a government department could have a say over the intricate and very individual needs and wants of a business premises. That just seems ridiculous to me. And it's very unusual in other jurisdictions for government departments to have that kind of control. So if that's what they're going to argue, if their argument is, well, the Department of Commerce retains a very high degree of residual control over the operations of businesses or the access to premises, that would be a very unusual argument, and I don't think a judge would be super convinced by a submission like that because of how unusual and how excessive the legal rights would be in that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the strategy. Probably what we'll go from here is we'll probably try to, again, settle that out of court. I'll advance my legal argument to them. I'll explain my position to the Department of Commerce, and, well, not to the Department of Commerce, but the lawyers retained by the San Andreas debt collectors. I'll explain our legal argument and, again, push for a settlement. If they don't listen, then we'll take it to court.
Sounds
fair
good.
enough.
Wonderful. All right, well, there's not really much further than that. I just wanted to make sure that there weren't any documents or anything that we'd missed. If there's anything that you guys come across, please do not hesitate to email myself or anybody else. Of course, GTG is the firm that I understand you've retained to represent you in this matter. I'm there to advise GTG and represent them in court, which I have quite a great deal of experience in, if I don't say so myself. So when it comes to court-related stuff or anything like that, you're probably best positioned to message me. So if you have questions about, being a witness, when to rock up. You know, any queries about that, you're probably best positioned to message myself about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll
Okay.
forward on the stuff that they sent through to me to Emerson, so she can forward that on to obviously GTG you guys, and you guys can look into it and have a look. But it's pretty
Yeah,
much just
absolutely.
everything that's in that open business sort of area.
Yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm quietly optimistic that we've got quite a strong case here, and I'm of the view that you know we've got a pretty decent chance of winning this one.
Well, I appreciate all your hard work.
Yeah, all good. No worries.
Just feel free to email us any footage again if the SADC come in again.
Yeah.
And arrest either one of the employees or anyone inside the premise, because all it does is just make our arguments stronger for harassment. If they're continuously busting through those doors, affecting your business by taking away customers for their purposes.
Yeah, perfect. Will do.
Well, excellent. All right. Well, thank you for meeting with me at such short notice. I do appreciate it.
No, it's okay.
You guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
Wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
Let's settle up, gent.
We'll have
See you
to
guys.
unlock the door.
No worries.
I'll just chuck the key in there. All right. Oh, someone's on the other side.
I was
gonna teach you,
but
I've been busy.
Yeah.
PDM on top.
To be
Oh.
honest, couldn't really be
PDM
far.
on top.
Yeah. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
That's
I
right.
really
Appreciate
appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, stop talking to me.
What's going on here? Why are you guys
Ah,
squaring
I
up
thought
in
you
my
were
shop?
selling me a car.
I don't know. He said he was going to go to jail and he didn't teach me how to
This
purchase
is what happens
vehicles.
when you
So...
come to PDM.
How you going,
Does
Matt?
anyone work here?
I've asked this chick, so I mean, should you
Yes,
getting
plenty
it?
of people
Does
work
anyone work here?
Yes, please invite him for the car.
Sorry, can I get your name?
My full maiden name is Ramo Di Chili.
All right.
Getting it
Artie,
now.
could you help this woman here, please? In the,
Yeah. I was
in
just
the gradient shirt.
checking
She's
some
looking
stuff.
for something.
Yes, we will Do have you need a to. hand?
No, we were waiting for the Stubster.
I know they get
Thank you,
annoyed
though.
and they Oh, get it's alright. frustrated. Normally happens. If tax there, we're going.
Is that your age?
Hi, puppy.
Timothy.